Hey everyone, new set.
New card. What do you think?
Whoa.
Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I mean, hopefully you don't dislike it too much, because this kind of took a while to actually line up everything correctly, but if you don't like it, definitely let me know and I'll figure something out. But today I want to talk about my experience with dropshipping, since I did dabble in it a couple years back and never really picked it up again. I want to tell you why, and also give a word of warning to anyone who might be wanting to start dropshipping as a way to make money. But before I get into that, for those of you who are new to the channel, just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jack Duffley. I'm a 24-year-old real estate investor and soon-to-be attorney. I just turned 24 a couple days ago. And on this channel, I cover a variety of topics as they relate to investing and personal finance. So if you like that sort of content, be sure to have a look around the channel. And if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. Now, before I get into my personal experience with dropshipping, I definitely want to go over what dropshipping is for those of you who might not be familiar. Dropshipping generally refers to going to a site like AliExpress or some other online retailer like that, typically where you can find cheap goods, often out of China. You then take that product, move it onto your own website, mark up the price a good bit so you have some sort of profit margin, and then you drive traffic to your own website to then hopefully drive some sales to that actual product. Then when you get the sales, you then place the order with the original site, AliExpress or whatever it is, and then that order is sent directly to the customer. You don't actually touch the product at any point. That's how it differs from more traditional e-commerce where you're actually dealing with inventory. In this case, the inventory and the logistics are pretty much all dealt with on the other end with the supplier you're using, the other website that is. It's definitely a low-cost business to get started with. All you really need is a website and some product that you select from one of these sites or suppliers, and you can get going pretty quickly, often for less than $100, even less than $50, or if you're using something like Shopify, which is very common, you can get started with a 14-day free trial and whatever a domain name would cost, so probably about $12. Now, there are two what I'm going to call subsets of dropshipping. There's one, the traditional kind, where you take a product from another website like an AliExpress and then sell that directly on your own website. So you're not really doing anything to the product. It is someone else's product that you're selling. And there is kind of a moral dilemma here, and I was kind of nervous doing it myself, since you're not really providing a ton of extra value other than that you're putting the product directly in front of someone. But all they would have to do is a little bit of research, search the same product, find it on AliExpress, which is the most common site used, and then they could just place the order themselves and save the margin or whatever you put on it. So that's kind of traditional drop shipping, and you could argue that at a very high level, that's very similar to what any of the big box retailers are doing, say a Target or a Walmart. All they're really doing is they go to a supplier or wholesaler, often from China or some manufacturing-oriented country. They get their goods from that wholesaler, supplier, factory directly, whatever it is. They put it in their store, charge a markup on it, and then sell it. Theoretically, a person could go to that supplier and get the same goods for cheap, but it's kind of hard to do that at scale, since a big thing that Walmart and Target and those big box stores are doing is they get big, giant orders, so they have economies of scale. And you're not going to be able to go to a wholesaler and get a single item, generally speaking. Whereas the drop shipping, you're shipping one item at a time. You're not taking bulk orders and then managing inventory, because then it wouldn't be drop shipping. That would just be traditional e-commerce. All I'm saying is that the value that you're providing as a drop shipper is pretty low. All you're doing is putting the product directly in front of someone, but if they really wanted to, it would take a few clicks. They could go find it somewhere else for much cheaper, since you're selling it off of someone else's site technically. So you're not really providing a ton of extra value with that form of dropshipping. Now, the second form of dropshipping that I would prefer to do if I was going to do it again in the future is print on demand. This is where you actually have a product with your own sort of intellectual property, your own copyright, your own artwork on it, and then through a print on demand provider, every time an order is made on your site, the print-on-demand provider then prints out whatever it is on a mug or a t-shirt, and then that's sold one at a time. So it's made to order. So in that way, you still don't have to deal with inventory. The print-on-demand company is still dealing with all the logistics and order flow. You are just driving sales to that product with your artwork on it. And you technically own it, so no one else can just take your artwork and put it on a t-shirt of their own, since that's breaking the law. Now, not saying people won't do that, but it's a lot harder to do, and it's actually illegal to do. They're not supposed to do it. Whereas with the AliExpress traditional dropshipping model, all someone has to do is go to the site and make the purchase themselves. They're not breaking any law by doing that. So print-on-demand dropshipping, where you actually make your own artwork and put it on a product that someone else then produces, that eliminates a lot of that moral hazard that traditional dropshipping does have. But in any event, scaling and making a large profit in a dropshipping business is very difficult to do. There's pretty low barriers to entry. You just got to set up a website pretty much and start driving ads to it. It's not like you have to have a huge box store. There's huge capital costs somewhere. It's very easy to get going, which makes it very attractive for someone who doesn't have a lot of money and thinks that they can make a bunch of money doing it. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, so let me take you back to my experience with dropshipping. Back in 2018, right after I had finished undergrad, I wanted to find a different way to make money, and I stumbled across dropshipping as a side hustle, and I thought I'd give it a try since I thought it'd be a great opportunity to learn about social media ads, since that's a big part of the strategy for just about any dropshipper. So I decided to make the plunge that summer with a elephant-themed store. Yes, I know it's stupid. It was just elephant-themed items. I'd seen other animal stores that were in YouTube examples, so I did something like that. I wasn't trying to make this into a long-term business. This was really just a test run to see how it worked, if you could actually make money pretty quickly with it or not, what sort of effort you needed to put in, and that's what I was going for. One of the main products I was actually selling was this elephant-themed phone holder. I don't know if I'll find a picture or not. If there is, I'll put it on the screen right now. But it was just a little wood phone holder that had elephants on the side of it. It looked kind of cool, so I put it on the site. It was, I believe, $10 on AliExpress at the time, and I charged $25 for it on my website. So that's a $15 spread right there. So you think you're sitting pretty there with a pretty substantial margin, but the biggest expense is that you need to drive customers to your website. Since it's probably a brand new website, mine was. I was using Shopify to do it. I set it up, the free trial and everything, and it got going from there. There was no organic traffic I already had going. It wasn't an existing website. I started completely from scratch. So I was not getting organic traffic to this site. I used a combination of Facebook ads, and then I used Instagram shoutouts as well to a couple elephant themed pages. I've found people who'd be willing to make a post, a sponsored post to one of my products. I had a couple more beyond the elephant phone holder, but I found that that one really was one of my winning products if I had any. But that was my marketing strategy: Facebook ads and Instagram influencers. I set up a Facebook page for the website and ran posts and ads on that to whatever interest groups I could find on Facebook that seemed like they made sense. And I also tried posting things in elephant themed groups on Facebook, not my own, to see if I could get something there, and didn't really have much success with that, but I didn't try too hard on the group front. But as for my advertising strategy, I probably spent a few $100 on ads. I don't remember exactly how much I spent, but I probably spent a few $100s on ads over the course of about, I think I went for about a month and a half. I went over the free trial period, and I think I did a month after that. So we'll call it a month and a half is how long I ran this little experiment for. And before you object, I do realize it's only a few $100. We're not talking about thousands of dollars in ad spend that a lot of the big drop shipping players do, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. The point is, I had a significant sample size to work with, and these products were not high ticket products where I was going to have very few customers, theoretically speaking. My market was bigger because it was a cheap product. I'll start with Facebook ads. Those I did not have a ton of success with. Facebook ads are really powerful, but they are also quite expensive, relatively speaking. You are going directly to an interest group, which is awesome, and you could really niche it down. I think the ultimate power with Facebook ads is to actually retarget people who have already been to your site, but I didn't have a lot of traffic to start with. So how do you get that traffic to your site immediately to actually make retargeting ads useful? Well, that's where Instagram ads came in, but sticking with Facebook ads, I spent a few $100 on Facebook ads and got less than the actual ad spend back in profit. So my Facebook ads were actually unprofitable, relatively speaking, and my retargeting ads were unsuccessful too. I just didn't have that much traffic coming in. Maybe if I had scaled these up and really tried to drive a ton of traffic early, maybe I'd have more success. So even though I had a $15 margin per product at best, sometimes much less, but that meant that I really needed to get my customer acquisition costs down to more like $10 or less so I could have a real profit margin at the end of the day, because the profit on cost of goods doesn't really mean anything if your marketing costs are taking all of the would-be profit. That's what I think a lot of people don't understand when they're getting into drop shipping. They don't understand that, sure, your profit margin per product might be 200% if you're selling a product that only costs you $10. That $20 per product that you would be making in profit is being eaten away by a slight bit of transaction costs, but then also all of the marketing expenses to try and drive the traffic to your site, unless you already have a ton of organic traffic, which most people don't. Now, what about Instagram ads? These I had a little bit more success with in driving pretty significant traffic to the site. I went to a couple pages that had a couple tens of thousands of people following them, and I think I got one over 100,000 people following. So that's a lot of people to just blast an ad at for a relatively low cost. I got a couple, I think, for about $20, and I was able to make some of them quite profitable, but others just did not make much or anything back. If I was to continue this site, I probably would have focused more on this, but there's only so many elephant accounts out there, so it depends on your niche that you're working with. And in some niches, you're not going to have any Instagram pages to go off of. Maybe it's worth building your own, and that could be a very powerful strategy with any sort of e-commerce. Having a niched out page that you build yourself, you control all the followers, and then you can make more tasteful ads potentially, or it's just your ads exclusively, no one else's. With a lot of these influencer pages, they allow ads for other people to use too, so you're competing with them. But when it was all said and done, I think I lost about $20 to $40 all told, so I almost broke even, which was reassuring, but I learned a lot about how Facebook ads work and also the power of using influencer ads potentially for the future. So that's what it was really good for me personally. Maybe if you have a super high ticket item, or you're doing print on demand and have complete control over the product and other people can't undercut you too much, then that's potentially a great way to go. But there's a few big barriers with dropshipping that people are going to need to get over if you're trying to make a huge living or make a ton of money with it. For one, you got to find a great product or really great products. You're going to have to churn through a few, since it's unlikely that you're going to be able to keep selling the same product over and over. Eventually other sites might catch on and start running ads themselves to that same product, because you don't own the product. It's coming off of a website that anyone can use. So that is a big drawback with dropshipping, unless you're doing print on demand, in which case you have a lot more, I don't want to say pricing power, but you have a lot more control over the actual product. But in any event, you're going to need a lot of money to run ads, and until you use a lot of money on ads, you're not going to get enough data to run retargeting ads or to niche down your ad selection to actually make them profitable, because even then, your profit margin is going to be pretty small. Again, unless you have a huge profit margin item, but that's pretty unlikely. If you see a dropshipping ad that flashes a huge sales number at you showing that they sold $100,000 of product, well, that's the sales number. It doesn't include all the marketing expense. It doesn't include all the cost of goods either, which are the most significant expenses in dropshipping and are going to eat away at most of that sales number in all likelihood. So don't expect that you can just sell $100,000 worth of stuff and you're going to keep all $100,000. No, it's going to your cost of product and then also to your cost of acquisition to actually find the customer. At the end of the day, it's a very low margin business for the vast majority of people, and even the top performers probably don't have a huge margin, but have such a large amount of ad spend every single month that they have enough to where they can make a pretty large living or profit off of it. All I'm warning is that don't expect to do that same thing unless you're willing to fork out a ton of money in ads and potentially be very unprofitable for a while you collect data, assuming you even have a quote-unquote winning product. So would I drop ship again? Probably not, unless I did something like a print-on-demand store where it's really my own products. But there are a lot of print-on-demand services out there where you can sell your designs for free there, in that you don't actually have to run the site or pay any sort of monthly fee or even drive ads to it, in that a site like a Redbubble or a Teespring, you can sell your designs on there. Not saying you'll make a ton of money there with just a couple designs, but you can at least start there if you're looking to get into that sort of game. So I don't think I'll ever do a traditional drop shipping site ever again. I might do a print-on-demand site or something similar, integrating it with some other website or blog. But that's pretty much all I've got for today. If you found this video informative, definitely leave a like, since that would help the channel out a lot. And if you like personal finance or investing content, then definitely subscribe, since I put out new videos every single week and wouldn't want you guys to miss out. But until next time, take care.